Hey, all you rad dads out there.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time. So the
Oh,
first
yeah.
question I always ask is who are you?
I am Bob Vennum. I'm the guitar player and songwriter, chief songwriter for the BellRays. And I've been in the BellRays for 30 years, 30 plus years now, and just been in the scene for longer than that.
Excellent. Thanks for being here, Bob. And you're a dad, of course.
I'm a dad, of course. Yeah, I have a beautiful daughter, and man, she's just the best. She's my favorite person on earth.
Would you be willing to share a name and age of your daughter?
Her name is Twylla, and she is 36 right now, I believe. 30,
Oh,
yeah, she'll be 37 this year.
so you've been at this dad game a long time.
A long time to you never really stop being the dad, but now I don't have to put in all the work.
There we
She's
go.
she's self-sufficient now, so
There we go. That's testament maybe to you, all the work that you put in
yeah,
now, right?
I like to think so.
There we go. We always start off with this question. Do you consider yourself a rad dad, Bob?
I do. I do. I consider myself very open-minded. I like to see what the situation is and then react to it as opposed to vice versa. I know that
It,
there's a lot of people who think that uh, they got to react within their a certain parameter, and I don't. Parameters change and shift, and I try to go with it.
so you'd say you kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, yeah. You just you're never ready for everything that's going to happen, and you know knowing that even when you confront the stuff that you know is going to happen, it sort of helps you with that as well, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
It's um like I said, I preconceived notions so often fall flat and wrong. I just really try not to have them. I know I do have them, but I really try not to let them rule me. I try to see what's right in front of me, you know.
It's so is that would you say is one trait that you need to be a rad dad? Is that flexibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know any all the friends of ours who have kids and stuff. They're all kind of the same. They're all, they think they know. Sometimes they think they know what's going on, and then when it happens, it's like, oh no, well, I guess I have to let go of that and do, and go this way because that's the way it's going to be. It's early on. I just realized that she's a person, no matter how old she is, she's going to react to things her own way. I mean, even if she's two, it's her brain that is operating and letting go. So it's like, you know, that is the important thing, is letting her be herself and just making sure she survives the attempt.
Yeah, yeah, protect, but yeah, at the same time,
Yeah.
censor and but yet at the same time allow that expression. What are some other traits you think make one a rad dad?
Um, being honest, being honest with your kid, um, telling the truth and don't uh I think the honesty is the big thing, because when they get old enough to realize what honesty is, and if their parent is you know lying to them or covering something up, they're savvy enough to know it. And all I ever had to do was realize, remember, oh yeah, when I was 8, I remember my dad doing this, and I knew that wasn't very cool, and my mom said this, but I knew it wasn't that. And it's like you're trying to protect them, but at the same time, you have to understand that if you want them to be honest, you have to be honest with them. That's just it's the best way to make sure that they're going to be honest with you.
Is
They
there
may do it on their own, but
uh,
uh, you know,
They
you
do
want it to go both ways.
they do have that kind of intuition, right? Like I have a
Oh yeah, yeah. I
12-year
mean,
old
they're
and almost a 2-year old, and there's a
wow.
16-year-old between. So between my girlfriend and I, there's three. So one of our own, and then and two. So 16, 12, and a two. And I'm now what I'm finding myself kind of talking to, the 16 and 12-year-old, be like, be mindful of what you're doing in front of your
Oh
little
sure,
brother. So they're very
sure.
perceptive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. They, you know, the word sponge begin
Right.
doesn't even begin to qualify it.
Yeah. So like the honesty piece. So is that just like, would you classify that what you were kind of talking about, being honest and just kind of modeling, being a good model, or is that to you a different thing? Modeling the honesty and kind of being,
Um, I don't know. I mean, I was always interested in what she had to say at any given time, you know, and uh she'd just ask me these weird questions, and I'd say, well, yeah, I think it's this, or yeah, I think it's that. And um I think it just after a while, you know, when she got old enough, it I could see that it and my wife's the same way. Her mom is the same way. I mean, like completely, like I learned to be honest from her because it makes her ill to tell a lie, my wife. So um it we had that in common, and it just really, you could see it really early on that in our daughter's interaction with her friends, and when she was away from the house, um that like she knew that there was stuff that wasn't going to fly. Uh, with, you know, her friends would say, "Hey, come on and go. Let's go do this," and she's like, "No, because I can't go home and say I didn't do that. You know,
right.
it's just not going to happen. So, you know, I can't." Or she would get home and she would tell us that that's what they did, and you know, she had to go along with it because their parents were driving or something like that. You know, so it it just paid huge dividends. I think. I really think the whole babying your child, or trying to keep them as a child. I'm not, you know, I wasn't trying to make her grow up any faster, but you know, you try to talk to them on the level that they can absorb, you know. And the baby talk thing, we never did that. We were always just really frank and really straight with her.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. I've never done that with my son, either my older son, it is, the baby talk, tried to be as, I think. You got me thinking, reflecting, have I always been honest with him? I don't know. I'll have to think about that over time, but yeah, he's, definitely a kind, empathetic individual. And it's just interesting to kind of see that come out and people kind of commenting on that. Where were you in your career when you had your daughter?
In my career, we hadn't started touring yet. I was still doing I was basically, I don't Lisa hadn't even started singing with my band yet. I was still doing just a local musician doing local bands. Um, you know, hadn't put out any records, hadn't done any of that stuff, but I had been doing it for 10 years at that point. So I was 25 when I had her, and or when she was born, I should say. And um, you know, it on the outset you think, oh well, this is going to change everything. How can I possibly do what I've been doing? And then it's just like, no, you know, no, Twylla, we have practice tonight. We got to go to practice. You can go in the living room, you know, where we're practicing, or you know, there's always things to do. There's always people. We had a great support system between my mom and Lisa's mom and dad, and you know, friends, really close friends, and family and stuff, that because Twyla was kind of like the first one born in our group of friends. So she's, you know, she's like the golden child with all of them, you know.
Yeah, I'm always curious. That's nice that you had a support network. I asked that question. I'm always curious as to how musicians navigate kind of that realm, really, because yeah, it's a job, but you're on the road too and touring. Like, was that kind of an issue going on tour and stuff? And
We started going on tour when she was like junior high school age. So we most of the time we had a friend of the family who was staying with her and driving her to school or something. But sometimes she walked. But we were always like, no, here are the rules. Here's what you do. And she was really good about keeping with them. She never tried to sneak around or do any weird stuff. I think she was always mindful of what could happen, because
right.
not to scare her, but we would say, hey, this you just don't want to do this. You just don't do this because this. And then, she would always, she knew people who stuff like that happened to. And so she, it was already in there, so, um, when you're on the road and she's not there and okay, well, right now she's walking to school and it's like, you're kind of like this gripping the seat until you get the phone call that, hey, I made it to school or whatever, and so, thank God for cell phones. And she got the bare minimum, when you could do the walkie-talkie thing, with them, that's what she had. Hers didn't play games, hers didn't do anything like that. It was just, no, this is what it's for. You can call your friends, but you got to call them, and we're first. Our number is first in there. So
there you go. That's similar to like an experience I had with my son when he was in elementary. The elementary school that he was going to is just a few blocks away, and we made the decision not to pay for daycare anymore, after school daycare, and really just buy him a cell phone.
Yeah.
And just walk straight home and text us when you're there. Lock the door. We'll be home soon, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of it's a wild thing to me, to think about the evolution of that. I'm a school teacher by trade, and then that's what I
Wow.
do. High school teacher, and I started teaching when cell phones weren't really a thing, and I've seen
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
whole evolution too. Did you have any fears about becoming a dad?
I never really thought about it until I found out I was going to be one. And then it was um not a fear, but because I had always worked, I'd always had a job, I'd always, I'd always taken care of things. Um, but when the fear sort of came when, because our daughter was 3 months premature. She was a preemie. So she was born at like 6.5 months, I think, and she weighed like 2 pounds
Oh, wow.
when she was 2 pounds 12 ounces or something like that. And the month that she was in the ICU in the hospital was always, that was like the scariest. Probably the scariest time in my life, because we go down there, we'd spend hours and hours down there, and every day, and there were other babies in there that didn't make it. So you think about that, and you'd come to visit and you couldn't go in because somebody didn't make it, and it put that fear in your head. But everybody in the hospital while we were there was just like, oh no, she's fine, she's strong, she's really strong, and she's gonna be beautiful. And it's like, I don't know how they knew that going into it. I don't know how they could tell that, because she just looked like a drowned gopher, because she was so skinny and so, it was just scary and blue, and her eyes hadn't opened yet, and it was weird. So that was the only time I really ever had a fear of being a dad, knowing that uh, you know she might not be around, and she's awesome. Even like this, she's just awesome.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, not that it compares to that experience, but I remember when my oldest was born, and he wasn't as responsive as they kind of hoped, and there was like a team that rushed in, like right after he was kind of taken out, and like that panic and that fear was like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on right here. This should not be happening. And it was just that he was just like, as the doctor said, just super chill, and he just took a while to kind of come around. And so it was like,
Right.
yeah. But after that, it was just like, okay, this is what I got to do, I guess. Like you said, you've I've always too, always worked, always had a job, always kind of taken care of, have a younger brother and sister. So not that I was experienced changing diapers or anything like that, but it was you just kind of do it, right? In what ways has fatherhood changed you,
Oh,
or did
just
it?
oh, I think it did. I think it grounded me a lot more than I was. Um, I wasn't I wasn't aloof or anything like that, but being a songwriter and a musician, I sort of always just, had my head, you hear the music in your head and it just keeps going. And so then you play guitar and you do stuff like that. And then all of a sudden there's this baby crying. Oh, okay. And you got to go, you got to go take care of that. Or you got to just say, well, I'm not going to do this right now because, she's sleeping, or I'm just not going to, I got other things to do. I have to do the laundry, or I have to do this. And it just sort of, gave me more things to do. Basically, it didn't, personality wise or anything. It's kind of like, even then I realized it's like, well, no, if she's going to grow up, she's going to know who I am. I want her to know who I am. My dad was not, he was a great guy, but he wasn't around. Like at 7 or 8, my mom and he got a divorce, and he just sort of went off and did his own thing. We saw him regularly. Like I said, he was an okay guy, but and we had a good relationship, but he wasn't around, and I think now I know who he was, or how he did things or and stuff, but growing up I didn't. I didn't know him. I probably knew his dad better than I knew him, because when he was gone, I spent time at my grandparents' house, when my mom was on vacation or going to do something, or I would be at their place, hanging out with them.
Yeah, I was gonna, my next question was really gonna kind of describe the relationship with your dad. Is that something you're kind of comfortable with? You kind of already touched a little bit
Oh
about
yeah.
it. But
Yeah, like I said, he died about 6 years ago, and he had moved
sure.
to Utah, and he'd been there for, oh God, 40 years, maybe 45 years is where he ended up. And we spent, for a while, it was like we'd spend a couple of weeks a year up there visiting and hanging out, and he was always coming down. And not always, but once a year he would come down, and he'd drive through and say hi, and we'd hang out and stuff. But I think he always kind of felt bad that he took off, because I mean, like, my mom should be queen of the world, because she's just the most awesome person ever. Like, I know any good traits I got from her, and some from him, but like, he realized that he really messed that up, by leaving. And um so anytime later on, when we got, once I had Twylla and was married and stuff, he always made a point to tell me, man, I really shouldn't have left. Your mom is the greatest, and this and that. And I said, well, yeah, call her. I mean, just hang out. She's still there. She still wants to talk to you. It's like, you can do that. But I think he felt bad about it. I think he really had a shame thing about it, and not being there more, because he grew up with his dad being there all the time, and his dad, when I say I spent time with his dad was not a nice guy. He didn't, he was always great to me. He was really nice. But some of the early jobs I worked at companies where people had worked for him. He was like a big electrical engineer, supervisor guy at Kaiser Steel in Fontana. And he had a lot of people work with him, and I ran into a few of them. And when they saw my name, they were concerned. you know,
Oh.
they would come up and say, "Was that your dad?" It's like, "No, my dad. It's my grandpa." Man, that guy was an asshole. It's like, yeah, I got that. I get that. And I saw a few times when he was that towards my grandma and stuff, but um, it like I said, he always made sure to be in our lives, which was a good thing. I wish Twylla had known him more. I wish, because he was a very adventurous guy. He loved motorcycling. Anytime we went up to Utah, it was pack up the Jeep and we were gone for 3 weeks in the desert somewhere, just camping or driving around, that kind of stuff. He loved the outdoors and wilderness and building things and doing all that stuff. So, it was fun. Yeah.
Exploring the world. Did that the fact that it was kind of there and at part time, did that influence how you parented, or influenced you as a dad to your daughter?
Yeah, like I said, when I got older, I understood him a lot more and why he left. My brother never got over it. My brother he's still mad to this day about that kind of stuff. But I understand, because at certain points, it's just like, oh man, I know why my dad took off and didn't want to live around people. I completely get it. I don't want to be around people right now. I wish I could just get in a car and drive away, but I have too many things that I like doing around here. I have too many people that I like being around. So it was a thing where it's like, no, I just want her to know me, and I want to be present anytime she's around so she can know who I am. I just want her to have that. She didn't get to know her great grandmother. My mom's mom died like with 2 months after she was born, I think. And that's where my mom got all of her traits, and that's where I got a lot of mine. So it would have been cool for her to know that. So I wanted to make sure that whatever she can glean from me from that relationship, I want her to have, so.
What's the most rewarding aspects of being a dad?
Oh man. I want to say just the companionship, I guess an okay way to put it. Just having her around, the time spent with her, that's I think that's the best aspect. Watching somebody grow up, like right in front of your eyes, and using what they give you, using the stuff that they give you, and then you using the stuff that they bring back, from what they do. It's really rewarding. I mean, it's a real it's a kick, it's the way that works. It's just amazing, for me, just that go back and forth with someone that you helped form, and you realize that, oh, they're going to go out and they're going to be a good person.
Yeah.
That's you don't get over the glow of that. I mean, that's just a cool thing.
Yeah, it is. And I had that experience. Punk and Drublic was that NoFX's last shows were here just this past weekend. So they did two. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that tour or whatever, but
I know the bands. I don't know the tour.
yeah. So they've been doing their 40th year. They're ending their reign, and they're doing 40 shows in 40 cities, and it's a big hoopla. And
Cool.
we had a Rad Dad's tent. We this is one of our new initiatives. We did a
Awesome.
Punk is Dad coloring
Is that-
book. And so we had a bunch of people that have been on the show, and they've donated their artwork. So we had
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
I don't know, you maybe know some of these names. Brian Keenan from Bouncing Souls did a few pieces for us. Brian Walsby, Steve Caballero, pro skater. Anyways, so he was part of. We had a tent there, and I think what we were trying to maybe change the narrative a little bit of what an all ages show means. All ages, it used to be just, okay, you could bring your kids and really nothing changes.
Right.
where we had a tent, and so we had them, they could come in. We had temporary tattoos for kids. We had they could make some pins. We had a button maker, and we were giving the coloring book, and just basically having a space for parents to bring younger kids to kind of escape the hoopla of like a big festival. It's about
That's cool.
500 people, and I enlisted my 12-year-old to help, and so he agreed to come. And just after the 2 days being there all weekend, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, Kingston is his name. He's just a really good kid, and that just made me feel
That's
like
awesome.
the whole, yeah. So I appreciate your answer there. Let's shift to the BellRays. You have a new release coming out, and
We do.
Heavy Steady Go, correct?
Mhm.
Coming out to the end of August 30th, I
Yeah,
believe.
August 30th is the release date. Yeah.
Do you want to chat about that? Here's your time to kind of plug
Sure,
some
yeah.
stuff in. I'd love to
Sure.
hear the process behind that and what that kind of looked like for you. And
Oh man, this album was really it was a I want to say it was a labor of something because it took forever to get done. We actually we started going into the studio to record it like 2012. Like that was the first sort of attempt at it with these songs. Um, and then over the course of the year, it just never gelled. It just never came together until um, we had a friend of ours suggested we used a couple of the guys, the rhythm section from Kid Congo and the Pink Monkey Birds, Mark and Ron, um, use them to record, and they had little ways that they could get stuff done, and we ended up going out to Arizona and recording with Jim Waters, who did the Blues Explode, a couple of the Blues Explosion records, I think, trying Orange and the one before that, I think he did, and you know, and we just met up with them, and it was like, we started jamming the songs, and well, this might go the way of that. Just all the other stuff that we tried to record and it didn't come out right. And then at one point it just flipped and it went, oh, okay, this is going to work. This is going to be cool. And then we left that uh, situation, and we came home, and we couldn't do a lot of stuff because of the COVID and all of that stuff. We couldn't meet with a lot of people. Finally, we were able to meet with our old drummer Craig and a friend of ours, Nico, to play bass. And there were a few songs that while we were getting ready to go on tour and we were practicing the songs, and we changed the arrangements of a bunch of them. So we said, well, now these songs sound really good. So about half of the songs that we had recorded, we re-recorded here in this room here. And then, the whole thing, just between the two sessions, it just all came into line, and the whole picture just went, sharpened and focused. And it sounds really good. Songs that we had been batting around for a decade, all of a sudden just sounded great to listen to. I was getting past I don't want to play this song again, cringy, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's play it again, that kind of thing. So, and then the artwork came out really great, and it was just a stellar experience doing this record, which for the last couple of records, it just hadn't felt that way. The couple of records we did before it just hadn't. They were good, but this was a lot of fun. This came out really cool.
what do you attribute that to then? Maybe just
Oh man, everybody's attitude. Everybody else that was in the room. It was having Mark Cisneros and Ron Miller in the room, and just the ease with which they did everything. And when you just said, hey, I want it to sound like this, bang, it sounded like that. They just knew what to do, and within another run through or two, they had it. They had the feel, they had everything that song needed to go. And then with Craig and Nico too, it was that on crack, because I mean, Craig we've known for years and years and years, and Nico was the new guy, but he just fell right in. He just rolled right along with it. He just jumped into the river on his canoe and just started paddling along with us, and um, that more than anything, just that same level of excitement, that same level of like, yeah, let's make the song sound good. Uh, that is what opened everything all up. you know, and they're all great players too. That helps. But the first few attempts were with great players too, and it just wasn't the same experience, you know. They would look at me with these quizzical looks on their faces like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's like, all right, just ape it and I'll play the bass when we get home. You know, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know. And
There's
so,
some synergy there between you. So who's going on tour with you then? Like what does that look
Craig, the
like?
drummer, and Nico Miles on bass.
Oh, so there are the players. So you want to talk
Yeah.
about that upcoming tour? When does it start? I meant to look up the date.
I think September 6th is our first show, but I think it's out. We're going out with Social Distortion for, I think it's like 7 weeks. And the first, I want to say the first 3 shows are our own shows. It's just us. And I think we hook up with them in Vancouver. So we play up the coast a few shows, 3 or 4 shows, and then we hook up with them. And it's, man, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I had gotten to that point where after COVID, it was like, man, do I ever really want to tour again? Ever? Because I like staying home. You know, it's I like my cats. I like just hanging out, you know. And um when this one finally happened, it was supposed to happen last year, and then and Mike had the throat cancer thing. Um, you know, then it was like I was disappointed that we weren't going out because I just knew this tour was going to be a lot of fun. So now I'm really looking forward to it, you know.
Right on. I see. Yeah. What changed your attitude about that? Like wanting to go out? You know, you
I
play stuff.
think I think being able to play these new songs was a big one, and the just the fact that you know, Mike asked for us, like he wanted us to play with him, and you know, and he didn't have when they reorganized the tour, he didn't have to. He could have gotten another band to do it, and he still wanted us. So, um, you know, when somebody like that wants you to play it, it fires you up. You know, you want to do it. And I know, um, going on tour, midlining for a band like Social Distortion, we've done it, you know, for the Damned and the Pixies and the Reverend Horton Heat and these other bands, and we just seem to have a better time when it's like that, because it's not all of the onus isn't, you know, about us bringing people into the thing. We can just go play, you know, and have fun and put on the best show and not have to worry about the door receipts and, you know, merch sales and all that stuff. I mean, we're, you know, we're heavy into that, but you know, we don't have to worry about it. You know, we can count on a certain thing happening every night, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like I appreciate, you know, that Mike kind of asked for you in the sense that every time that they've been through Edmonton, there's always been someone on the bill that has been new to me and kind of opened like a new realm. Like, you know, and years ago when Social D was here, there was he had a country singer opening up for him, and and then I wouldn't have known about the BellRays if
Right.
I wouldn't seen it on the Social Distortion poster for the Edmonton
Oh,
show. And
awesome.
then you check it out, it's like, oh, this is interesting. It's like this punk soul rock kind of stuff. So I've been kind of
That's
enjoying your music, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play at in
cool.
Edmonton here for sure.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
you know, come up and say hi
will do.
but
So
yeah, it's always when we toured with Clutch, you know, I that was a tour I was terrified because this guy, like, man, these Wallaching guys are just gonna hate us. We come out with a black girl singer and they're gonna hate us. And those guys, they bought so much merch. We ended up they were on the mailing list. I mean, they're like the greatest fans of music ever, you know. It was really cool. And that's kind of been the thing about all of those tours with the Damned and you know, the Pixies and stuff. It's we really gain a lot of fans through those things.
nice, that's great. Few last questions here. Are there any words of wisdom you'd like to leave for the dads or the new dads out there?
Oh man, spend as much time as you can with them because it goes by really fast. And I know that's a cliche, but it will amaze you how fast. The first 20 years of your life, it seemed like it lasted forever. Man, the next 20 are going to be in a week. It's insane. And like I said before, the amount of stuff you're going to learn through them, and for them, and that you're going to, the time you're going to spend, and the moments you're going to have are going to be, they're going to blow your mind. That's all there is to it. You may be one of those guys that always wanted to be a dad, and you're just looking forward to it so much, and you're not even ready yet for it, because it's just so much of a greater experience than you can ever think it's going to be.
Yeah, we always sometimes try to ask end with a dad joke. Are you a jokester? Do you have
I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
me too. So
I can make them up on the spot when I see it, but I don't remember them after they're gone. I just sort of, I'm sort of a walking dad joke.
there we go. Let's end it there, Bob. I really appreciate your time. Really looking forward to seeing you guys play up in Edmonton.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was fun.